evening. Praise the Lord. And welcome to Father Fio. Father Fio has come. So welcome, Father Fio. I know you all are very tired after a long stretch of sitting. Let me see how brief I can be. As I mentioned there already, I did not know that they are taking this to show you. So anyway, we have been asking ourselves, what is the distinct identity of Jesus Youth? Even long time back, I remember in 1982-83, KST and some of us youth leaders have been meeting. I still remember a meeting in St. Teresa's College. And then we were asking, how should we build up these young people? This is a charismatic movement, but it's not just charismatic movement. This group of young people have a different destiny of growing a spirituality relevant, specific for this time and for this group. And naturally we have been searching constantly. We've been growing very much. Maybe we were searching in the charismatic spirituality and identity. But recently, as you have seen already the other papers, we've been looking at the teachings of the church. And we've been saying, yes, this is what we have been doing. This is what the church has been teaching. And naturally, we are so overjoyed. For me, sometimes reading some of the church documents is a big revelation. Yes, the church has been teaching us this, but now we have been living this experience all through in Jesus Youth in a charismatic renewal. In my paper, I'm only putting a few thoughts on trying to relate, I think there is a little mistake, vision of the church for the laity and Jesus Youth movement. I'm not being too exhaustive, but at least some points I'm trying to present. Now, in the Vatican Council, especially after the Vatican Council, the church has been constantly engaged in a dialogue with modernity. We've been hearing about it, especially in the last segment on context. Then also about the importance of the laity in the life and reflection of the church. So laity have been assuming a great importance. And Jesus Youth movement emerged in this context. And I've been looking at many of the writings that we have. And I've been seeing Jesus Youth, we refer constantly to some of the church documents. And I'm happy. We are slowly learning the language of the church. Sometimes it is important that when we teach, Bina and I teach literature, sometimes they have to know a little glossary of that discipline. In the same way, we are slowly learning the glossary, the terminology, the ideas of the church, and this is slowly transforming, forming Jesus Youth movement. What are some of the documents we constantly refer to? One is definitely Lumen Gentium. Raiju was already referring to the document a couple of times. Then, the Second Vatican Council decree on the apostolate of laity. And very much Christi Fidelis Laici, and already Bina and Raiju have been referring to it very much. Evangelii Nunciandi and Redemptoris Missio, because ours is a very missionary evangelistic movement and very much to Catechism of the Catholic Church. You may say that this is not exhaustive. There are other documents also. But in Ernakulam, when we try to conduct a very serious training program, a 6-month-long training program for Jesus Youth, we specifically took these documents as study program, placing our reflections of the Bible, but at the same time placing our reflections on the documents of the church. So this is very important that we refer to, especially in future when we go back and refer to these documents repeatedly. Now I'm proceeding. Some of the highlights that I would like to mention in the vision of church for the laity. One is, movements have a special place in the church. Redemptoris Missio, especially Pope John Paul II referring to ecclesial movements is saying, the ecclesial movements, these movements, they represent a true gift of God both for new evangelization and for missionary activity, and they be used to give fresh energy, especially among the young people. This now we hear from many quarters. Instead of movements, we can say Jesus Youth. Many places, many dioceses are asking, how can you help us to bring alive the church, bring alive our parish, and especially bring alive our young people?